All right. Says that I'm out of storage on StreamYard. So I'm assuming that that's because it's not recording it, which is okay by me. All right, we're going to go in there as well here. Oh, we got 2 people already. I'm assuming Daniel Jones and Spray Arm. We're actually live. I can't believe it. After all... What is going on here? After all of the sickness and stuff. It's always something, isn't it? Hang on. There we go. All right. Trying to fill in some of the shadows on my face over on this side. I don't think that's too bad. Yeah, that'll work probably. Okay. All right. So yeah, I woke up with a sore throat this morning as well. Not fun. Actually, maybe one of the people was Destiny because somebody tuned out just now, which is okay. It's okay. Boy, we got some stuff going on. I'll tell you what. It's been 2 weeks. Daniel, hey. Hey there, hello. As one of my favorite comedic YouTubers says, Ryan George, oh, he's hilarious. First person to do whatever, and his pitch meeting stuff is great. All right, we're going to get started with this recording here shortly. I would like to say that I finally finished a project. Not that I don't usually finish my projects, but there's this project that I've been working on that has been really cool. It's a little book right here. I did not make it. It is by David Martin Lloyd-Jones of British fame. And it's put out by Kept Pure Press with Chris McShaffrey. And he's actually having me, or had me, because it's done now. It just has to get processed and everything. It's, I redid the book cover, so that was fun to do. Should I go comb my hair and brush my beard? I almost feel like I should. Does it look awful? Yeah. It looks like I've been in it all day. I will be right back. So let me put my banner up. All right, I'll be right back. Thank you guys for your patience. Thank you for showing up. It's running across the living room right now. Just made me think, if I never would have started this, it never would have happened, and I wouldn't have something to look forward to on Friday nights. So I appreciate you guys joining me for this stream. It means a lot to me, and I know that it means a lot to my wife as well. She definitely sees that I enjoy it. Even that is enough for her to be happy about it. So it is good. I don't know, should I should probably take this off for now, but I'm going to be doing a lot of reading. Okay. There. Now I can hear myself a little bit. I am back, so we'll get rid of that. Go away. There we are. All right, cool. I wish Charles was here. Why isn't Charles here? I'm going to try to log in. And I am well aware now, after a lady pointed it out before the last stream, I think it was. Oh, wow, 3 people. I am beyond words. Thank you guys for all coming. And tonight, you're going to want to stick around for this one. It's been 2 weeks of staring at a symbol, the Triquetra, and we're going to be digging in on it deep. So, I'm assuming that one of the people on there is Spray Arm. Let me go over to the comments. Spray Arm is here. Let the cat in. The cats actually might be in. I am not sure. You did not lose the link, Charles. Go back over to the Buy Me a Coffee thing and click that link again. Or you might be able to go into your watch history. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that all works because I don't actually use that end. I just supply you guys what you need to be able to function on that end. So it may... Messenger's not going to let me log back in. That's a pain in the butt. Whatever. Let's see. Can I... hang on. Log in with Facebook. Gotta save Charles. Gotta save him. Let's... see. I can never type this. I'm just going to log in with Google. Hopefully that works better. No. That's 2 different email addresses. Charles, if you're able to make it on, please tell me. So that way I'm not trying to rescue you from the depths of no link. Yes, it was me. All right. Sign in, continue. Whatever, I'm doing it on the phone. 1 second, gang. Alrighty, hopefully that helps. All right, turn off the keyboard, get that out of here. Always something. Let's see. So I survived the sore throat stuff. My wife's having it a little bit now. Kids are having some. Throat felt awful this morning, but I'm doing this tonight. It feels pretty good right now, which is good. Let's see. Oh, I got a new microphone, which I posted in the gallery on Buy Me a Coffee. I am not able to use it yet because this one actually works with the hardware setup that I have. I have a USB-A, and this is a USB-C microphone. Let me actually show you. It's pretty cool. I've wanted this mic for like, a year or two now, probably by this point. It's the Rode Pod Mic USB, and the arm is the PSE, I think, 1 Plus or whatever. It's the one that you don't get your finger stuck in because it has this this solid design, which I love it. It's going to be super fun to use, and it's going to have more background noise blocking capabilities, which is nice. But I just got that set up, and I don't know. How do you like that? For all the Irishmen. That's, I don't know what accent that was. It was sad. It was an attempt. So, you know, my tombstone will say he did the best Irish accent he could. We're going to be going over a page that I'm still building, but it has a lot on it right now. And there's a lot of thoughts that I have about this enigmatic symbol. Oh boy. Let me add this to present real quick. I'm going to share the screen. Share screen. Someday I'll read those tips that it tries to give me. Triquetra. Share. All right. Am I? I am in the wrong. Oh my. Okay. I'm still in the SRA one from last time. It looks like Charles got back. He did. Here's your chicken. And Daniel Jones put a flower, not a flower, a flag. Sorry, in the shamrock. Flower, flag. I did not mistake the shamrock for a flower. I did not. I did not. We're not going to be blowing a lot of kisses St. Patrick's Way today either. I'm going to mention some stuff in passing because there's a lot that we have to get into tonight. Wow. Oh my, a taco. How un-Irish of you. Share screen. Triquetra. And then I can just do that. But we're going to stow it away for now. Oh my goodness, guys. Oh my goodness. Oh. Okay. So just so you all see. Woo! Lucky duck. I won it at work today for guessing some St. Patrick's Day trivia. The question was something like, what's a famous traditional the famous traditional meal that they have that includes like a vegetable and a meat or something like this? And I was just like, corned beef, and woo, you got it right. And I was just like, oh, I've never had it before even. So it worked out well, or at least in my favor. So let's see. I think I'm about ready to go live. We're going to be trying to have an after show tonight. Hopefully I don't get too long-winded because, oh boy. Several days ago, I realized, wow, I'm going to need several episodes to unpack all of the stuff with the Triquetra. But I might be able to give a fast version tonight. Maybe. We'll see how far we get. I just need to start at the beginning and work my way out. But I have a theory. And I'm going to propose it at the beginning, and then we're going to get into some of the strange stuff. Okay, so here we go. Brand. And I don't have a St. Patrick's Day theme. I have a Christmas theme. I have a winter theme. I don't have any Irish music. Oh well. That's okay. Here we go. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Woohoo! You're all a bunch of lucky ducks. Now, I know the green part of things, the Catholic part of things, I've got a greenish shirt on. It was kind of next right there. I didn't have a lot of other options, but I'm Protestant, not pro-Catholic, but we do have a lot of St. Patrick's Day enthusiasm going on right now because usually I go in on St. Patrick stuff, like, talking about how he was more along the lines of a Baptist, about how his Bible that he used was apparently in possession of 1 John 5:7, which is not in your modern versions, and how he drove out the snakes, which were the Druids, and very easily also, sounds weird to say, snake people, and how they may have returned with Roman Catholicism, and about how Augustine, not the hippo Augustine, but I forget the guys where he was from and such, but the Augustine that came in the 500s, 590s, I think 597 if I'm not mistaken, and actually ended up killing true Christians. That's apparently the beginning of the struggle the British Isles have had with Roman Catholicism this entire time, was when they just showed up and started killing Christians. That's talked about, I believe, in Gail Riplinger's book, In Awe of Thy Word, and one that you're going to want to get if you want some deep European history. I don't have it right now, like in book form, but I do have it in PDF. It's called After the Flood by Bill Cooper. Not Bill Cooper of Behold a Pale Horse, not the same guy. This is a different Bill Cooper. I believe he's from Britain. I think he's still alive, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, we usually talk about that kind of stuff. We usually reference Peter Ruckman, where he talks about his Bible that had 1 John 5:7 apparently in it. But tonight we're not going to do that. We're going to pivot on this theme because, think about it, 1 John 5:7. Oh, that puts them in a perfect position for the defense of the Trinity. And with the three-leafed clover, with the emphasis on the Trinity again. Interesting. It might make more sense as we go along. We're going to be talking predominantly tonight about a certain symbol, which you can see right there. It's called the Triquetra. I'm going to try to get that right as often as I can. I may say Triquetra multiple times in this live stream because I pronounce it Triquetra all the time. But it would be Triquetra because it has a U after the Q. So it'd be Qua. So Triquetra, I believe is how that is spelled. There are some variations on this. There is the Volknot, which I believe is the more Celtic kind of, traditional version of this, which is associated strongly with Thor and Odin. We'll get into that in a little bit, and it's going to be interesting. Tonight's going to be a really, really deep historical dive. After examining some of Gail Riplinger's claims regarding the Triquetra, and I'm sorry, don't hate me for this, but it may give you a deeper understanding, appreciation for early biblical history, like in Genesis, and possibly ruin some Bible stories just a little bit. It's not going to hurt them. It's not criticizing them at all. It's just giving you some context that we haven't really thought about, and we're just going to be like, oh, wow. So there's a lot going on tonight. Okay. First things first, I'm sorry to break it to you, but there is a conspiracy behind the modern Bible translation controversy, which is undermining Christianity and our civilization at this very moment. My name is Joseph Armstrong. Welcome to the Bible version conspiracy. We are building on YouTube a library, a search engine, if you will, of everything that has to do with King James onlyism, Bible translations, the King James Bible, the modern versions, Greek texts, everything like this that comes into the realm of conspiracy. There's a lot to unpack. Not only are we going to deal with the conspiracy behind the modern Bible translation controversy, we're going to be talking about all kinds of crazy and strange things in Bible history, things relating to the King James Bible's supernatural preservation and its supernatural character. If you care to join us, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share it if you think that you know somebody else would be interested. And if you want to join us on a much deeper level, get some behind the scenes stuff, other perks that you can check out on our Buy Me a Coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/Joseph Armstrong, as one word. You can join us on that deeper level and have direct access to me for any questions. You join that, you pay for it, $7 a month at this point. Lock yourself in at that price. And as far as I can see, it's just going to go up from here. But right now it's $7 a month. And you guys are number one priority. Anything you guys need, and I share books with you guys. I try to keep in contact as much as I can with all the research that we do and recording and kids and work and everything like this. There's a lot that's going on. So I would like to thank our co-conspirators who are with us right now during this live recording for being part of what we're doing, for making what we do possible, for helping us keep the website up, for helping us afford technology that we need because technology that we have is breaking. Guys, thank you. You have made, and my great-grandmother was pure Irish, and she spoke Gaelic, like in her mind. It was, her language. You've made this sort of Irishman very lucky. You guys know who you are. Thank you for being awesome. You might want to stick around to the end of tonight's live stream because it's going to keep getting weirder and weirder as we explore the mystery, the enigma of the three-pronged Mobius. It's going to get fun. So Gail Ripplinger has some material on this. Not many other people have done a lot of work on this. I have yet to peruse other King James only authors that I'm like, oh, I've got to reference him on the Triquetra. I would love to check out Stauffer. I didn't get a chance to do that. I would love to check out McElroy. Didn't get a chance to do that. Didn't get a chance to check out David Daniels. It comes in a lot with Pan-Babylonianism. I'll get it out eventually, where the idea is that everything came from the Tower of Babel with Nimrod. But I don't think it's necessarily the case. It's just, in my mind, it's just kind of the case. It goes far back, and Hislop and everything, all those guys did some pretty good work, but I think it goes back a few generations before Nimrod. We'll get into that a little bit more tonight. Does the Triquetra classify as an idol, since it is supposed to represent the Trinity / Godhead? Now, for me, the Trinity is the Godhead. When the Bible says Godhead, it means Trinity. It means the historical and the biblical understanding of one God in three persons, but not three individuals. So Brian Denlinger, who is a King James only YouTuber that I have watched a lot, he now is on the handle of Born Again Barbarian. He has a lot of videos that are designed to refute the Trinity doctrine. He holds to something that he calls the Godhead doctrine, which is basically the same thing as the Trinity doctrine. It's just slightly different. And from his analogy that he made with a nut, a bolt, and a washer the other day, it just is clear that he does not understand the Trinity whatsoever. In my opinion, that slight misunderstanding has led to a lot of confusion with him and the people that follow his little YouTube movement. It's really sad because he thinks that anybody that vehemently opposes his idea about the Godhead doctrine, which I have yet to fully understand, I want to get his book and understand it more fully before I actually come out in criticism. And I'd love to talk to him about it as well to get some clarification on some things. But it's so typical. He says that if you vehemently or passionately oppose the Godhead doctrine in favor of the Trinity, the doctrine of the Trinity, or the doctrine of modalism, you're not saved. Okay, that's interesting. So apparently, in his mind, the Trinity doctrine originated with Catholicism. And as far as I can tell, it did not. The doctrine of the Trinity has been taught all the way back, first couple centuries, long before Roman Catholicism. Check out Cults in the Trinity, right here, by Ken Johnson. It's got some good stuff in there. I would love to see him or Josh Alvarez, who also apparently rejects the Trinity. Josh, come on. Anyways, I'd love to see them talk about this book. It'd be fantastic. I really got to talk to them all at some time. Just not enough hours in a day. And also, you don't think of it all the time. So anyways, do I think that the Triquetra classifies as an idol because it's supposed to represent the Trinity or Godhead? And in Acts, it says that we're not supposed... It's not... He's not laying out a doctrine of Christianity. Okay? He's talking about idols that are there that are figures. And he's like, we ought not think that the Godhead, which would be God the Father, God the Son, or God the Messiah, and God the Holy Ghost, or Holy Spirit, that they can be represented, that it can be represented in a sculpture. As far as I am aware, it has nothing to do with a symbol that we are like, if we put this on something, then people are going to know that we are Trinitarian as opposed to Unitarian or Modalist or Arian or what have you, or Jehovah's Witness or Mormon. So to make that distinction and to have that foundational Christian doctrine, having a logo for it is not really a problem. We have crosses too, which is interesting. We'll probably get into this a little bit later. So since nobody's actually worshiping it, like you might have a picture of your grandma. If you don't worship the picture of your grandma, it is not an idol. The moment you start worshiping or trying to pray to your dead grandma through this picture, sorry, I'm still trying to get over the throat thing, it then classifies as an idol. It's as simple as that. And this is traditional Jewish practice and everything else going way back. So Ken Johnson talks a lot about it in his book, Ancient Origin of Modern Holidays, etc., etc. I should do 3 episodes. You're right, Daniel. That would be a good idea. A 3-pronged attack. All right. Could the Triquetra be used as an idol or for the mark of the beast? I'd say yes to both of them. It wouldn't surprise me, since it would be a perfect mockery of the seal of God on their foreheads. The seal of God with, God's name in their foreheads in Revelation. Revelation 7:3, Revelation 9:4, Revelation 14:1, and Revelation 22:4. Also see Ezekiel 9:4. It would be the perfect mockery of that mark, that seal of God in their foreheads, which is Christ's Father's name. Now this is also something that I think has worked into it a lot. Since Christianity has so adopted the symbol of the Triquetra, or the Trinity knot, as it's sometimes called, since it's so adopted it almost makes sense for pagans, not necessarily pagans like, you see neo-pagans or whatever all the time. I'm talking like, the dark stuff. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see them adopt this symbol, simply because it would be perfect for mocking Christianity. Christ is the day star that arises in our hearts. And they will use a fallen star like that. They will use a peace symbol, which I have heard, I have not confirmed, that it is a broken upside down cross. They will invert a cross, simply invert it, and use it as a symbol for Satanism. So when it comes to symbols that are representative of Christian doctrine and ideas, we shouldn't be surprised to see them showing up in some bizarre places. The big problem is where King James Bible believers see it on the cover of a modern version. We'll talk about that in a minute. When did Christianity first adopt the Triquetra? I don't know. Apparently, it was very early. Apparently, the Triquetra predated Christianity in the British Isles. Christianity came along and used it kind of like the 3-leaf clover to teach the doctrine of the Trinity. As far as I am aware, there's no real evidence that it was used ritualistically before that, but it may have. It may have. And I think that it may have, based on some evidence that I have found, not actually what Gail Ripplinger has talked about. We're in for some stuff. I tell you what, if you can't listen to the rest of this episode right now, like you're like busy, come back later, because this is crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So, Wikipedia. The symbol has been interpreted as representing the Holy Trinity, especially since the Celtic Revival, or Celtic Revival, however you care to pronounce it, revival in the 19th century. The original invention by the early medieval artists is unknown, and experts warn against overinterpretation. So they're like, guys, we don't know what it was originally intended for, and don't let your mind go too wild. It is, however, regularly used as a Trinitarian symbol in contemporary Catholic iconography. And it is. James White used it for a long time on the cover of his book, and in the inside of his book as well. Brian Dunlinger had a heyday with that. His book called The Forgotten Trinity by James White. And now the book has a simple triangle in a Mobius, which is a Mobius bar, I guess you could call it. It's a bar shape that's like a Mobius. We'll get into Mobius in a minute. What on earth is a Mobius? Is Mobius some kind of dark demon or something like this? It's like, no, it could be. It's a character in, I think, Thor Ragnarok, I think. But it's not that I'm aware of. It's not a devil. So I would highly recommend, if you guys have not gotten it yet, this is not book selling time. This is me telling you a book that you're going to want to have. Especially if you like your the roots of your culture and such. Ancient Post-Flood History is fantastic by Ken Johnson. It goes back to the beginning of every civilization, pretty much, like every culture, to just after the flood. And it gets into Ireland and Scotland. I try so hard. On page 88 to 94. So here is apparently the Ogham alphabet. So there it is right there, all those little lines. Apparently that's what was used to make their alphabet way back then. So it is a fantastic read, and I highly recommend it. At the end of it, right after the witnessing tips, which looks like fun, there is a little note about a certain symbol that he uses throughout the book, and that is it, your Triquetra. I'm going to read you a little bitty bit. The Triquetra is a very ancient symbol. Recently, it has been used as a symbol for Wicca. He said recently. I find that fascinating. In the early days of Celtic Christianity, it was a symbol for the Trinity. We will see it used on the cover of some New King James Bibles. Before the start of Christianity, it had several pagan and secular meanings. I'm not sure that it did. The problem with documenting things from the British Isles is not because they didn't write things down. Bill Schneblin perpetuated that whole thing about, oh, they didn't have writing back then and stuff. It's like, no, they did. They did. Okay. Read Bill Cooper's book, After the Flood. And you'll be surprised how much we actually know. But scholars are like, we reject it because it just sounds too biblical. We can't. It has to be a Catholic forgery. It's got to be unreliable. It's terrible. We're not even going to acknowledge it as early history. Get that book, guys. I need to get myself a physical copy so I can wave it around and say, hey, get this book. So before the start of Christianity, it had several pagan and secular meanings. In ancient times, it was a symbol that all races were brothers through Noah and his 3 sons. Now, that's something you didn't hear from Ripplinger. This is why I chose to use a triquetra as a chapter divider. Another example of ancient symbols being perverted in modern times is the rainbow. Recently, the rainbow has been used as a symbol for the New Age movement, and something else, by the way. In ancient times, it was a symbol of the Noahide covenant. And did you notice how the triquetra is made up of arcs or arches? 3 of them. And if you look at a rainbow from the air, it looks like a circle. There's a circle going around it a lot of the time. Interesting. Or maybe it's 3 circles joined together. Interesting. I wonder if that has to do with rainbows. I don't know. Something worth thinking about. See chapter 4 for information on the 7 Noahide laws. Now, I'm not talking about the Noahide laws that exist today. Those things are whacked out. I'm talking about basic, like 7 Noahide laws, 10 commandments, like basic. Remember, all things go back to God. As Christians, we should take back the ancient symbols and use them to teach truth. That sounds good. That sounds good to me. That's what Ken Johnson has to say about the triquetra. He has more to say about different things in the idols and Asherah trees, in the ancient origin of modern... I don't know where it is. Ancient origin of modern holidays, idols and Asherah trees. That deals with whether or not it could be considered an idol. That's page 24. Nullification of making something not an idol anymore, or plants that are used in a grove or whatever else like this, getting those to be just regular trees again and not considered to be used in pagan root worship anymore, not desecrated. Pure and impure as far as idols are concerned, and also on page 67, a little entry on St. Patrick's Day, where he basically just says that Lupercalia doesn't align with St. Patrick's Day, and St. Patrick's death is why we do St. Patrick's Day on, what is it, the 17th? So it's like, it doesn't have to line up with Lupercalia. It could. That's probably one reason why the leprechaun made it in there. Leprechauns are real. We'll get into that at some other point, probably. Okie dokie. So, I got into, oh boy, and I didn't even finish because the video cut out. Gail Riplinger has a video and an audio where she goes all in on the New King James stuff, and in the video she goes all in on the symbol of the triquetra. I am sad by what I've seen because it seems like it is very it is cut very short, which I am very sad about, because it looked like she seemed like she was very rushed. She wasn't able to slow down and give any details. She just kind of was throwing things into the pot, you know. No real. You could follow the rhyme and reason, but the connections were very very disjointed and loose and just kind of shoved together, and it was kind of sad. But there was a lot she unpacked in that video. I'm not going to get into all of it tonight. That could be like a whole series on itself, just trying to go into all that stuff. But I will try to get into what I can tonight. Let's go over to the website. So if you're watching this video, you can follow along on our website. It's right beneath my name right there. It's BibleVersionConspiracy.com. And if I sound a little stuffed up, that's because I am. So let's head on over to BibleVersionConspiracy.com. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Ba-boom. Alrighty. So there's some things up here you guys can look through. We haven't added anything to our shop for a little while, but there's some good free stuff there. And the topics, we're adding to those all the time. All right, the triquetra. And then there's Stonehenge in the background. See that right there? All right. And this, I believe, is AI generated. A 3-pronged enigma has puzzled researchers for centuries. Please excuse the typos on this. Like I said, I'm still working on it. The history of Ireland's timeless symbol is shrouded in mystery. Did evil druids supply us with a Trinitarian icon, or does it have a more biblical origin? And would a biblical origin sanctify this symbol? Would it sanctify it really, would it? Or would it make it worse? Because just because we have the biblical origins of something doesn't mean that it was holy. Join us as we untie the famous Trinity knot. There's a video for that. I've got to align this center. Triquetra, history, associations, and fascinating information in defense of the Trinity are all on the following playlist. That's this one right here, graced by yours truly's ugly mug. Oh my goodness, I gotta align all of these titles, all these headlines. Triquetra lore per Gail Ripplinger. This is half of the video. They may not have been able to get the whole thing on there because she actually sells the video, so I don't know. But about halfway through it stops, and it's all black after that. No audio either, which really sucks. Gail is a fascinating speaker, and we appreciate the time and effort that she puts into her research. We are sorry that she felt rushed along dealing with such a complex subject. I will say that my own research has essentially confirmed most of what she said. Most. There are a few details that I will expand further in a moment. Gail's work at Harvard, which she mentions in the video, is also referred to in Awe of Thy Word. It says, quote, other helpful training, including coursework in sound at Harvard University, a minor in history and art history with research in the migration of symbols, particularly symbols relating to tree worship, apparently, and coursework in advertising with research in semantics, which, by the way, tree worship, Druidism is the #1 occult movement that has that is secretly a part of Mormonism. Just adding that in there, and those are going to be your oak worshippers. It also doesn't really help that James White's old YouTube handle name was Dr. Oakley, I think, or Okie, I forget. Anyways, things, stuff, and things. Oak Ridge, I think it's also called. The Hadron Collider, I believe it is, down in Tennessee, I think it is, near the Smoky Mountains there. There's not an oak on that ridge. Apparently, they named it Oak Ridge because Hermon, where the angels fell, they fell there, and the significance of the oaks is because Hermon had a lot of oaks. So apparently, they're trying to replicate Hermon in Tennessee. I'd love to find the course that Gail Ripplinger co-taught on tree worship symbolism. However, it is hard for me to believe it puts her on a level above the scholars who say that it is an ancient symbol for the Trinity. Saying that it is an ancient symbol for the Trinity takes it about as far back as the doctrine of the Trinity, in my mind. If you read, I believe it's the first chapter of Bill Cooper's After the Flood, you'll see in that first chapter that pagan religions and everything inherited a lot of knowledge about the one true God from their ancestors. And you also might want to be careful about that because Noah is called the one true God at some point. So something like that anyways, not those exact words, but we'll get into that later. I'd love to find that course. I'd love to even see the syllabus for it, or what have you. I don't know. We'll find it at some point, but I highly doubt that it's that little course that would put her on a level above the people that say that it is an ancient symbol for the Trinity, and it's just been used by Christians and Catholics to represent the Trinity for a very long time. Saying that it has no pagan origins, I think, is irresponsible, but I think it's further irresponsible for Christians to stop with pagan origins of everything and not take it back further. What did the symbol originally mean? Where did it originally come from? Did Satan create it, or was it something that God had that Satan corrupted? We always talk about that, don't we? I think that's very irresponsible for people to stop at pan-Babylonianism and not take it back further to its true origins when they could if they wanted to. But no, we'd rather just read Hislop's Two Babylons and leave it at that. Gale goes into greater detail in the New King James Version logo expose DVD. That's available if you click that link. And the NKJV errors audio. I believe in that one. This was my impression of the Triquetra for years. I didn't understand the Triquetra. I thought that it was based on what I'd heard from Gail Ripplinger's audio, which is called Dark Cloud of NKJV Errors. You can see it in the background here. That's the name of it on the website, NKJV Errors Audio. It's an interview with Tex Mars where she goes into New King James Version stuff and touches on the Triquetra. She says something like, to my memory, and this is years ago, she said, it's not actually the Triquetra. I went and looked up the Triquetra, and it's really a symbol with these legs sticking out of it and like a spiral and stuff. It's absolutely nothing like that or that. It is like, you know, legs sticking out all over the place, which I don't think I actually... Nope, I didn't put it on here. Oh, well. Scroll. So, and then she's like, it's not actually the Triquetra. The Triquetra is a face in the middle with these legs sticking out. And I remember looking up that symbol, and I was like, oh, okay, that must really have been called the Triquetra. She said that the real name of the Triquetra, I think she said it was the Mobius symbol. If memory serves me, I'll be corrected on it. I'll stand corrected. Please correct me. If she ever called it the Mobius symbol, I'll just be like, it's not the Mobius symbol. It is a Mobius symbol. If you do it correctly, yes. But anyways, you can find them on her website, these two audios, or the DVD and the audio. Here's how she describes the resources. New King James Version Errors Audio. Tex Mars, internationally heard radio program host. Hosts Ripplinger, where the NKJV is exposed as a counterfeit. See freebies section on the NKJV death certificate, which cites many corrupt NKJV verses. And I include the link for that in a little bit. And this link will take you to the freebies that you can download from their website, which are mostly poster-sized flyers that fold up. They're probably most useful as PDFs in this day and age anyways. Okay, the NKJV is not easier to read. You will learn that on this program. Now, the problem with that is, now I will be the first to admit it, the NKJV is easier to read than the King James Bible. On a secular, looking at the words, it is easier to read a New King James because it is closer to how we talk. There are a few places that uses a slightly more archaic word or a word that is totally obscure, like a pim. What on earth is a pim? And sometimes it does this when the King James Bible uses an easier word. But it does not make the entire thing harder to read than the King James Bible. Gail Ripplinger is, like, in my opinion, she is capitalizing on those few little places to make a small little point, and that's what's being made. Little game, little prize. It's just trying to say something that is simply not true. The King James Bible is more difficult to read than the King James Bible, but I still believe that it's God's word, and the New King James has problems. We can admit that something is easier to read, for goodness sakes. All right, moving on. NKJV logo expose DVD. The New King James Version, NKJV, published by Thomas Nelson, has had a triquetra printed on its cover since its inception. Gail Ripplinger examines the history and current usage of this symbol and proves it to be a pagan symbol. It is pagan. One of Ripplinger's degrees is Master in Fine Arts, in which research was done in the origin and migration of symbols. This was followed by an invitation to teach a college course on the history of symbols for a large state university. She can just say which one. She doesn't have to say a large. You will get a college level analysis of the history and usage of the NKJV's triquetra. When you have viewed this presentation with many visuals, you will be convinced that this symbol does not belong on a Bible. No more than Noah's Ark does. Kind of. But then, that depends. Anyways, the symbol perhaps is a warning that the contents of the NKJV are contents. Anyways, the contents of the NKJV are pagan as well. Ooh, so the NKJV is now pagan because it has an NKJV on its cover. That's interesting. And I don't unfortunately have a cover of an NKJV that I could show at this moment. Let me... No. You guys can look it up. Let's put it in writing. Gail Ripplinger's only reference to the triquetra in New Age Bible versions, sorry, I gotta add that, is page 111. And she calls it the Mobius 3 times. It's mentioned nowhere else in New Age Bible versions. It is never called the triquetra in any of her writings that I have found. Just saying. We cannot find any allusions to the symbol in and of Thy Word or hazardous materials. Clearly, the subject of the symbol fits the context of New Age Bible versions, not the other books. Most of the information regarding the triquetra, sometimes I capitalize it, sometimes I don't. Forgive me. I'll change it up and try to standardize it as best as I can. I am all about standardization. Which Gail has most of the information regarding the triquetra which Gail has bestowed upon us is in audio and video. Considering the wealth of historical information she appears to possess, very little has actually made its way into her writings. Here's all that we could find. Warning label. Don't cut yourself with your New King James Version. This is me writing. For your safety, Gail provides this footnote on page 147 of the Language of the King James Bible. Click the link. You can head over to her website and purchase the book if you care to. It is a pretty interesting book, and it's the only one that Nick Sayers owns. Not trying to diss him, but facts, and that's okay. It's a pretty good book. But here's the note that she has on page 147. Warning, and this is verbatim what she has in her NKJV death certificate. That's the flyer right here. And this is the little snippet about the NKJV logo here. All right. Don't cut yourself with a New King James Bible. Okay. Warning. The NKJV logo is the ancient symbol for the pagan Trinity. Now, if she mentions the pagan Trinity, what is meant by that is the basic idea of father, mother, child. So that has been a pagan understanding for a long, long time, apparently, especially when it comes to Pan-Babylonianism. They talk about that all the time. Not the Christian Trinity. Now that's a poser, because I think that the Trinity has been known for a very long time, but I also don't think that the triquetra. I don't think at this point that the triquetra was actually a symbol for the Christian Trinity, or the proto-Jewish Trinity, or whatever. Noah, if he had understanding of the Trinity doctrine, or the Godhead doctrine, whatever you want to say. I don't think that he used it as a symbol for that. At this point, I don't think that. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Use of number symbols like 666 can be traced back to Pythagoras in 582 BC and initiated into the Egyptian mysteries, which is a crazy thing to think about. And he also loved his pentagram. And there was a lot of crazy things going on with that guy. But anyways, she is not saying in that statement, and she makes 5 separate claims in this statement. James D. Price went after it a little bit on in his refutation of what she wrote. And he has some interesting things to say, but I didn't think that it was really not a lot of substance to it. There was a couple of good points, but we'll get into that probably in another video. Sorry. Cough on the mic. I don't want to get you guys sick. Use of number symbols like this 666. So she's saying that the 666 thing is where you take this whole entire arc and then half of the other arc, and that makes a 6. And you can see that, and then you would have 3 interwoven 6s. It's also why it's also pointed out by numerous people online that that is kind of the case. James D. Price is like, who makes a pointed 6? And I'm like, you got a point. Anyways, the idea is that Pythagoras used symbols that represented numbers, not that he used this triquetra. I'm going to deeply apologize here because I did not read something that I probably should have read. Gail Ripplinger mentions a book called Lampire or something like this. Lampire's, I forget how to pronounce it. Classical dictionary. And it gives a dictionary of all of the classical characters. One of them is Pythagoras. And I need to read the entire entry on that. But in my word search throughout the entire book with the aid of Control F on my computer, I could not find the word symbol, sun, triquetra, Pythagoras, Pythagorean, sun, or anything else like that related to anything related to a description of the symbol that we're looking at right now. I couldn't find a single entry that even made an interesting allusion to it at all, using those keywords and more. Like Trinity, even the word symbol, I just couldn't find anything. So I did copy down all of the things that I found that were interesting that regarded like sun worship or what have you. But I didn't find anything regarding the logo. In the video, here's the important part of it. In the video, she said that Pythagoras considered this symbol, that one over there, the New King James symbol, that he considered it to be, quote, the 666 symbol. And she referenced Lampire, or whatever his name is pronounced, Lampire's classical dictionary. I looked at 4 editions of Lampire's classical dictionary, and I could not find it. I have not read verbatim the entry on Pythagoras. I will, and I will tell you what I find. 582. That's when Pythagoras was around. Okay, so that's the first claim. Well, second, actually, I think. The symbol was popularized again by Satanist Aleister Crowley circa 900 for the Royal Arch, which the Royal Arch, they say, is Lucifer. So that's why she put Lucifer in there, the Royal Arch. The Royal Arch is a degree in Freemasonry. So for the Royal Arch of the 3rd degree of the York Order of Masonry, the symbol's shape is duplicated as 3 initiates join arms and feet while repeating the name of the ancient pagan Trinity. Here's the problem, though. She said it's an ancient symbol for the Trinity. That depends, because the ancient pagan Trinity more or less would have been Father, Mother, Son. And if you go down, I don't think I have it on here. Hang on. If you check out Albert Pike in the Book of Words, he talks about the first two syllables of the name Jabal-on, which is what she claims is the name of the ancient pagan Trinity that is being recited, or what have you, repeated, while they are doing this little dancey thingy here. Here's what Albert Pike says. So this is from Old French Rituals. French, remember the people that took Bill Schneblin to the Cathedral of Pain on the moon of Jupiter, they were speaking French, things like this. Anyhow, the founder of the Illuminati, I believe he was French. He was a French Catholic priest, if I'm not mistaken. This is probably Jabal-on, incorrectly copied, which, as I have shown, met, quote, the product of that which proceeded, issued, or emanated from Om. If correctly written, it is compounded of Yu or Yau, Baal, Baal or Bel, and Om, thus combining the three names of the Hebrew, Phoenician, and Hindu deities to indicate that they were really the same. In some old rituals, it is Jabulum. So it's not all just cut and dry, Ja, Bal, and On, like, you know, On in the priest of On in the Bible. It seems more like it's saying that Yahoo, which is going to be closely related to Yahweh, if I'm not mistaken, Baal, and Om, which is your your Hebrew, Phoenician, and Hindu deities, that they're all actually the same person. This is going to tie in better, I think, than Gail Ripplinger saying that this is the ancient pagan Trinity. Now, saying that these three different people are all actually the same person is just saying that there's three different understandings and three different cultures. It's not a direct replication of the doctrine of the Trinity by any means, but the concept is there. And remember, Satan corrupts, and it's a corrupted picture of the Christian idea of the Trinity. So anyways, you guys can look that up on a Wikipedia, Jabul-on, Jahbulon, if you care to read more on that. The symbol shape is okay. The NKJV symbol can be seen on the satanic rock group albums like Led Zeppelin, as well as on New Age bestsellers like The Aquarian Conspiracy. Remember Acts 17:29, we ought not think that the Godhead is like anything graven by art or man's device. So that's the famous way of doing things in AV publications. Ellipses is in brackets, and she could just quote the verse as well, but for some reason. So here is the only references to New Age Bible versions to this symbol. I'm not going to read them to you. You guys can go to the website and read it for yourself, or you can crack open your own copy of New Age Bible versions. I did provide the link here that she gives for patent 060606. If you want to check that out, that's a PDF. You're welcome. The number of his name, 666, is the title. And you guys can go into those images and check those out. Those are on page 110, the top of 111, and the bottom of 111. Bit by a three-headed snake. In the poster-sized New King James Version death certificate, Gail refers to the Triquetra as the NKJV logo and the NKJV's symbol. Exact same copy-paste as this up here, except these are fancy brackets, and these are just regular parentheses. And also the we is lowercase there, and here it is uppercase bracketed. But anyways. Sun Signs, that is a website that talks a little bit about the three-headed snake idea. Sun Signs goes deep on the meaning of dreams and horoscopes. Not sure how much weight to put on it, but they see three interpretations of this three-headed snake idea. The three aspects of self, a warning about the consequences of deception, or a reminder of the importance of looking at a situation from multiple perspectives on their three-headed snake dream interpretation page. So you guys can check that out if you want to see their article on that. Kind of new agey, but thought I would include it. I don't know where this symbol came from. I don't know if she had it made. There's been several things from Gail that I'm like, I don't know where this is, but that's also because I don't think a lot of what Gail has is actually made it over into the digital world. So Google Lens won't help you. It hasn't helped me. Sadly, I couldn't find anything regarding this image. I'll have to ask Gail where she got it from. I went into some old books, and I started looking up the Triquetra, and I found out something very interesting. Something very interesting. That in 1897, they regarded it as the Trinity symbol. There's a page right there. That's a Latin cross with a Triquetra at the bottom, forming a couple of little kind of feet right here on either side. Now notice this is a cross that has been broken off on the top. Purposefully? I don't know. But it's a Christian symbol, a cross with a circle. And if I'm not mistaken, Gail Ripplinger mentions in this video right here, she mentions a pre-Christian cross. Interesting. I'm not sure what she means by pre-Christian there. So maybe she was thinking, you know, Rome and stuff like this. I don't think the cross originated with Rome by any means. But the cross has also been a symbol outside of crucifixion and Christianity as well. But if the cross had pagan origins, why do we see crosses on Bibles? Something to think about. 1893 also. The lower portion exhibits two circles in contact with each within a square space. Squarespace. They don't actually do my website. I use WordPress, which I might want to use Squarespace at some point. Whose four corners are filled with the points of the sacred Triquetra, symbol of the Holy Trinity. Now, if you're a Catholic, a lot of the time, you're taught, like Gail Ripplinger was, that the Holy Trinity is Joseph, Mary, and Jesus. That's who you're supposed to pray to. When you say a prayer or when you do whatever, you recite Jesus, Mary, Joseph, blah, 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 blah. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, blah, 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 blah. Which is not the Trinity, okay? He's supposed to represent the Father, but Mary's not part of the Trinity, okay? Look up 1 John 5:7. That'll give you your Trinity right there in a nutshell. It's Father, Word, and Holy Ghost. And these three are one. Not one in agreement. Not one in agreement. Because then that would make three individuals, basically, sitting next to each other going, oh, we're right. We agree. We're one God somehow. I don't know. That's why Brian Denlinger doesn't like the Trinity doctrine, and if that's the Trinity doctrine, I don't subscribe to it either. So that's from the Transactions of Cumberland and Westmoreland Antiquarian and Archaeological Society, Volume 12, Part 4. Don't ask me how I found that. Before this, the Triquetra was a name for Sicily. This is where Gail Ripplinger got confused. I will say that Gail Ripplinger was confused. If like from what my memory is serving me, and from my understanding for years about the Triquetra symbol, which I had no idea about, she said that the legs with the face in the middle was the Triquetra, not this other symbol that we've been looking at here. Here's why, okay? Here's how she got confused. At that point, she may have done further research and found out more. Especially if she called it the Mobius symbol, because it is not the Mobius symbol necessarily. Before this, Triquetra was another name for Sicily, since it has 3 corners. And guess what's on Sicily's flag? A triquetra of knees featured in the middle of their flag with a Medusa's head at the center. A triquetra of knees, where you have 3 legs coming out, 3 corners, 3 prongs, 3 horns. Horns. Children? Arrows? Oh, interesting. Emanations? Interesting. Medusa's head at the center. With the Gorgon's head fixed to the center of her shield, the goddess Athena was seen by Sicilian civilians as the protector of their island. The Triquetra's function as a symbol of protection is clear. And you can buy it today as a symbol of protection as well. Thistles, also another symbol for protection, and I believe also pine cones, if I'm not mistaken. In Gail's video on the NKJV symbol, she refers to a classical dictionary that supports the idea that Pythagoras and his followers called the Triquetra the 666 symbol. We have searched the entire dictionary in 3 editions, 4 now, and found no such reference. I have not read the entry on Pythagoras yet, but I will, like I said. Go check it out for yourself. I provide links to the classical dictionary here, and you can look up Pythagoras and read it yourself, and let me know what you think. If you find something cool, let me know. Let's see. We have searched the entire dictionary in 3 editions and found no such reference. It's used as, and I did not type in the 666 symbol and be like, oh, man, it didn't show up. That's not how I did it. A lot of keywords, a lot of brainstorming, didn't find anything. That way I could know that what I was looking for was not in the entire book. Its use as another name for Sicily is the only mention of the word Triquetra. It mentions it under Sicily, and it mentions Triquetra. Its entry is another name for Sicily, because it's a triangular island being kicked by Italy. Sicilia, the largest and most celebrated island in the Mediterranean Sea at the bottom of Italy, it is actually called Sicilia, Trinactia, and Triquetra. I think there's also a lot of giant stuff going on there. Anyways, it is of triangular form and has 3 celebrated promontories. One looking toward Africa, called Libellium or Lilybalium something. Pacunum looking toward Greece, and Pelorum looking toward Italy. A classic dictionary. Triquetra, a name given to Sicily by the Latins for its triangular form. Bibliotheca Classica, or the Classical Dictionary, by John Lempier, 1831, may also hold the keys to Ripplinger's elusive reference. So that is the link to the book that is a variation on these. And it may hold the keys to her elusive reference. I have not searched that one yet. I am not doubting her claim, but she may have referenced the wrong source, and I would love to see where she got it from. Thing is that sometimes Gail Ripplinger can be the hardest researcher to try to follow. What she's trying to get out of things a lot of the time is just like, I read this and I did not get that at all, and you're acting like it's a dogmatic fact, and it's just like, sometimes when I run into something more specific, I'll put it out there. But for now, I'll leave it with that. She can be a very difficult researcher to follow up on. When Gail called the Triquetra, the Westcott and Hort thing is one of them. When Gail called the Triquetra the Mobius symbol, I'll bet, not I'll be. I'll bet you thought the Mobius was I'll bet you thought that Mobius was a demon, like I did. Sounds ominous and scary, but nope. The Mobius strip. This is what a Mobius strip is. Math time. I hate math. That was the beginning of this. In mathematics, the Mobius strip, Mobius band, or Mobius loop is a surface that can be formed by attaching the ends of a strip of paper together with a half twist. As a mathematical object, it was discovered by John Benedict Listing and August Ferdinand Mobius, hence the name, in 1858, but it had already appeared in Roman mosaics from the 3rd century CE. The Mobius strip is a non-orientable surface, meaning that within it one cannot continuously distinguish clockwise from counterclockwise turns. So if it's a road, it's going to be interesting. On every non-orientable surface contains a Mobius strip. Thank you, Wikipedia. In English, follow the edge around with your eyes. You're going to go here and spill out here. And now look at that. You're going around the outside. And then you're going to come around here. And you're going to go underneath. And look, now you're on the inside again. Isn't that trippy? In English, follow along the band with your eye, and pretty soon you'll find yourself on the other side of the band. Pretty cool, am I right? This is interesting. To be sure, the concept of a Mobius has its own symbolic significance, such as eternity, duality, all that. Gail is correct in identifying the Triquetra as a knotted Mobius, a Mobius symbol. It can be more of an obvious Mobius, however. But I disagree when it is called the Mobius symbol, as if it is the only one. Google what is the Mobius symbol sometime and see what you get. Hint, that's the Mobius symbol when you Google it. So basically follow around. This comes forward, and this comes forward, and this goes back. So that's your half twist right there. Tangling the knot. We'll be finishing up here in a moment. Oh, interesting. So Spray Arm says, I have not seen this before. Other applications of a Mobius strip, the Klein bottle. I'll have to look for that sometime. Alrighty then. Tangling the knot. From bands to brands, the Triquetra is a popular logo. More often than not. We find it plastered up in dark and ominous places. This is by no means each instance, but you get the drift. Power corrupts. Now, I'm going to go through this a little bit faster because I want to get to the conclusion here. So, Krupps, the Krupp family is mentioned by Fritz Springmeier as being one of the 13 families of the Illuminati, or at least in agreement with the Illuminati. Big industrial people made munitions for Germany, Hitler's Germany, enough said. Inverted triquetra inside of circles. Gail Ripplinger had a huge deal with this because this is pointing up because of the larger circle here, but if you take those away, the triquetra is pointing down. She got after the NKJV for having this symbol here pointing, this middle part here, with this point up. Because she's like, okay, well, that's the inverted version of this, so why did they turn the triquetra upside down? And it's just like, they didn't. But here, if you want to go with that, look at this. Led Zeppelin uses both. The one with the point going up and the one with the point going down. I spelled triquetra horribly there. So, Ballantine beer symbol, it's an inverted version of this. So please stop with the inverting things with this symbol. It's just too much. There's reasons, but we don't get it, okay? We don't. That's supposed to be a symbol for Saturn, one of the darkest things to worship. Basically death. The triquetra, which in this instance is supposed to represent a confident and competent individual. This was John Paul Jones's symbol, and this one was John Bonham's. And this was supposed to represent his family, his mom and dad and him. And this pen within a circle is supposed to represent the lost civilization of Mu. And these are all supposed to be the band members. They chose a logo for, I believe it was album 4 or what have you. Anti-KJV websites have this the Aquarian conspiracy thing here. It's interesting that it's also called here by New York Times author a Bible for the New Age movement. Now, pagans say that this symbol is used to symbolize the Holy Trinity, but really it's a symbol in modern traditions and Celtic stuff. It is used to represent the connection between mind, body, and soul, in Celtic-based pagan earth, sea, and sky. Traditions. It is often used as a symbol of the 3 realms of earth, sea, and sky. Past, present, future, such like this. There has been speculation that the triquetra is a symbol for the triple goddess, which it is not necessarily the triple goddess thing, because that's more the triple moon seen here behind the text. Notice that its connections with the divine feminine, though, have no solid scholarly evidence found to date. And it makes sense, like we mentioned earlier, that Aleister Crowley would bring it in as a Christian symbol. It's also interwoven with the Triskele. That is another twist and turn within the history of the triquetra. Earth, sea, and sky, again. Now, before we get into this, let's see. There are lots of other places that it's been used, but we're not going to do all of them. The travels of Noah into Europe. Highly, highly, highly instructive. I almost gave you the entire text of what I found from that book here, but I just kind of gave a summarization of it. So let me see if I can find the exact reference that I'm looking for with Noah, because he had some titles. After his death, they used rites and ceremonies, dictated and dedicated and attributed unto him divine honors and godlike adoration, building and consecrating temples and holy altars unto him, calling him by divers and several names and titles. The Son was one word that they called Noah after he died. They also called him the Heaven, possibly because of his highness. The seed of the world, which he would have been as the original, person that, gave birth to everybody else that's alive. Father of the gods was another term for Noah after he died. The soul of the world, the God of peace, giver of justice and holiness, the expulser of things hurtful. And here's some of his names. Janus was one of them, and Jupiter. There's other ones too, but they're not as oh wow. So we'll get into the travels of Noah into Europe more at some point. Looking forward to that. Wow, talk about a book. Makes Hyslop's Two Babylons really look like child's play, if you don't mind me saying so. It was published in 1601. So basically, here's the idea of the Triquetra. Ken Johnson mentioned something interesting. We gave you the entire quote by Ken Johnson here from his book, Ancient Post-Flood History, page 92. I've got to work on that teal text. I don't know how to fix that yet. Putting paganism to pasture. We've seen how Gale and modern pagans view the Triquetra. But what is going on behind the scenes? The original brotherhood. In this book, Ancient Post-Flood History, biblical scholar Ken Johnson uses the symbol decoratively because of its strong significance to his subject. He states that in ancient times, it was a symbol that all races were brothers through Noah and his 3 sons. See this? 3 points and 1 that they're emanating from. Or 1, 2, 3 interlocking arcs. And 1 large arc that is 2 half circles. 1 arc here, father, 1 arc here, mother. Interesting. Shem, Ham, and Japheth formed the original post-flood brotherhood. Isn't that interesting? Now, here's what I think may have happened. I think that when Noah died, Ham came along. Ham was the originator of post-flood necromancy. If you read the book Travels of Noah in Europe, it talks a lot about Ham being the beginning of a lot of wicked occultism. So maybe Ham came along and was like, hey, we can bring Noah back. We can bring the sun back. You ever hear that whole trope where, oh, sacrifice the virgin or whatever because the sun has to come up in the morning? He could have convinced thousands of people throughout history that there had to be a bloody sacrifice every night or else the sun wouldn't come up. And every morning the sun comes up and confirms them, and they keep doing it. right up until today. That's sobering. We'll do more on this at some point. Shem, Ham, and Japheth formed the original post-flood brotherhood. So if you're talking about a French brotherhood here and they're making arcs with their arms, which they are, see there's an arc, and there's an arc. There's a corner with his elbow, and there's a corner on that guy's elbow back there. And there's their feet going together too, making that little triangle in the middle. Isn't that interesting? It's basically a human representation of the Triquetra. Or is the Triquetra a representation of humans? It is easy then to see why, and also, these are 3 circles. So they're going to have their own wives, upper and lower circle, 2 arcs. Fascinating. It is easy then to see why a secret brotherhood with roots in the British Isles would adopt the symbol into their rituals. However, I think that this symbol may have been a symbol for Noah and his family originally, but as it got corrupted over time and got paganized and stuff like this, it became a pagan symbol. It did not originate in paganism, in my opinion, from what I've found, from what we've talked about tonight. But there's so much to this. You can't just look at a Triquetra and be like, oh yeah, I know what that is. You don't necessarily know who's using it, what's the significance they're putting to it. That being said, it looks like the Men and Gals flyer, these 3 dudes right here, weren't summoning Satan at all. Though I suppose they could have used any symbol to do so that they wanted to, you know, with enough male intent. Even today, you can buy jewelry which features the Triquetra as a symbol of family and brotherhood. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. See 5 ancient Celtic symbols for brothers and their meanings explained. So there's several different symbols about brotherhood and stuff. There's like a tree, and there's a 4-pointed, like, you know, like it's got the corners and stuff, and it's very interesting. You can check that out, and that's by the Irish Road Trip. Remember as well that Ham is credited as the father of necromancy and black magic on this side of the flood. We aren't saying there's nothing going on. We're not saying that just because there's some kind of association with Noah that everything's fine and dandy. We aren't saying that there's nothing going on. We're just saying that to cry foul at every Triquetra may not be doing anybody any good. Pagan roots tied in knots. I wondered what an educated Wiccan would say about Gale's research. I have not found it yet. However, I did find that Catherine Beyer, a practicing Wiccan who has taught religion at Lakeland College in Wisconsin, as well as the humanities in Western culture at the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Very similar, sounds like, to Gale Riplinger's background, except not the Wiccan part. Had something fascinating to say. Here's what she said. While many people, particularly neo-pagans, view the Triquetra as pagan, most European knotwork is less than 2,000 years old. And now that's interesting. Most of their knotwork is less than 2,000 years old. Is that just because it hasn't survived? Or is it because they just didn't use it? Less than 2,000 years. Brutus brought Christianity to the British Isles, apparently. The Oh, Joseph of Arimathea may have also as well. He may have actually taken Christ to the British Isles, as some evidence indicates, which we may talk about in future live streams. Most European knotwork is less than 2,000 years old, and it often, although clearly not always, emerged within Christian context rather than pagan context. So neo-pagans, sorry. Or else there is no obvious religious context at all. There is no known clearly pre-Christian use of the Triquetra, and many of its uses are clearly primarily decorative rather than symbolic. And like in a Catholic cathedral, where there's the arcs that go down into pillars, and there's that little triangle area that's left on the top of each pillar. They put a little triquetra in there upside down. It doesn't mean that they were satanic, but we'll get into that in a second. This means that sources that display triquetras and other common knotwork are and give This means that sources that display triquetras and other common knotwork and give a clear definition of what meaning they held in pagan Celts are speculative and without clear evidence. So when you go through Gail Riplinger's video, highly recommend that you do, about the Triquetra. Half of it, apparently about half of it, is available above and in our playlist. Buy the video from her if you want to. I plan on doing it and looking at it and reviewing it thoroughly. Problem is that she see for yourself. Ask yourself, is she ripping through this, given no connections because there's no connections? Is she just by implication because, oh, I see a triquetra here, oh, I see a triquetra there, oh, these people are pagans, that means it was a pagan symbol? Which it was used as a pagan symbol a lot. But when? Catherine Bayer here said, or Bayer says that there is a lot of speculation, but there's no clear evidence of what Gail is saying, because Gail is saying that there is direct meaning. She's saying that it's a symbol for the sun at morning, noon, and evening, or something like this. I forget exactly. But apparently it's not. Or Virgin Mother and Crone. It also doesn't jive. That's the divine feminine part that they said earlier that doesn't, there's no actual evidence for that either. So, wow. From what I found, it is apparent that the Triquetra is a predominantly Christian symbol, which dates back to the flood. Seeing it on the cover of a Bible, it doesn't make me react like Gail says and say, and run for my life like I'm somebody in the Middle Ages. Yes, the Druids would have used this symbol. I have no doubt. No doubt at all. But does it mean they came up with it? Does it mean they got it from demons or something like this? I highly doubt it. I don't know, but I doubt it. Is Noah harmless? Before we get accused of whitewashing the Triquetra because of its supposed link with Noah and his sons, let's remember how they were worshipped after they died. Here's a thought. Did a demon disguised as Noah appear to Ham, the founder of necromancy on this side of the flood, demanding to be worshipped in grotesque and bloody ways? I'm Noah. I'm your father. Listen to me. A fallen angel could have done that. And in order to stay in that human form, he would have required blood. Or a reptilian, or what have you. Check out The Travels of Noah into Europe, 1601, sometime. You'll be glad you did. After Noah died, much like with Enoch before the flood, the people began to worship him as a god, especially the sun. Now that brings that idea into the realm of the sun symbol, which makes Gail Ripplinger, like Snopes would say, mostly true. This worship seems to become corrupt and depraved rapidly into the ancient paganism of the fallen angels and demons. If you find a Noah worshiper today, he may just have a Triquetra tattooed on himself and play in a metal band. He may. Relax, it's just a conspiracy theory. Let us know what you think in the comment section on the video, or if you're on the website, type in something here. Comes right to me. I'll be glad to read it. It is a crazy, enigmatic symbol. I've just unloaded almost 2 hours of content on you guys, as best as I've been able to find. There is so much more that I would love, little dogs that I would love to kick. That sounds so mean. But like things that were interesting that I found in the classical dictionary, information on Led Zeppelin, the different things that Gail has brought in about the Triquetra from the Harappa Valley in apparently in India. Indus Valley, that's another name for it, I think, from 2000 BC, apparently, that is associated with the Triquetra and possibly Mexico, and seen on the forehead of Horus in Egypt. I'm not sure that this symbol was seen in all of those places. I'm kind of skeptical of that, because I don't know when these were actually put in these places, and I don't know when those illustrations of Horus would have been made, but I believe it was Noah who was also associated with, I think it was Osiris, if I'm not mistaken. And then also connected with Lemperi's dictionary, or Lempere, I'm not sure how his name is pronounced. I say that all the time, don't I? It looks like Noah worship connects to Molech. I'm not sure how yet. I think there's a key somewhere in the name Jabal on, because Baal is apparently, what was it? I forget which language it is, but basically Baal and Molech were different languages for the same thing, if I'm not mistaken. So there is a lot to work through. There's a lot to think about. Like I said, quite a symbol, quite a history. Looking forward to going into this more next St. Patrick's Day. I may do it before then. We'll have to see. It's a crazy thing. If you guys want to see more about the Triquetra, let me know down in the comments. It is an insane history. And when you bring the stuff that Gail Ripplinger found into it, it gets even more relevant to the Bible version conspiracy end of things. Now, I said that I was going to tie this in with Catholicism a minute ago, so let me do that real quick. Sometime, check out Ancient Paganism by Ken Johnson, Fallen Angels by Ken Johnson, and The Gnostic Origins of Roman Catholicism by Ken Johnson. Oh, and you might also want to get Jack the Ripper's New Testament by Nigel Graddon. It kind of brings it full circle into the idea that behind the Trinitarian stuff lies vampirism. And I'm going to end with this, I think. Al Bielek. talked about how out of the entities, there are two basic types, Trinitarian and Luciferian. Trinitarian follow the order and headship of God the Father, God the Word, or God the Messiah, and God the Holy Ghost. And this would include, apparently, angels, cryptids, apparently, little people, aliens that follow that setup. There's another side, which is the Luciferian side, which again has angels, cryptids, aliens, stuff like this on that side. So it's so weird to think that there's, if what he's saying is accurate, it sounds like what's being implied there by him and by the Urantia book is that there are otherworldly entities that follow the Trinity. With that concept of that duality in Roman Catholicism, there's a lot of duality there. There's a lot of duality because you have evil being mixed with good in their entire history. There's not enough time to get into Fox's Book of Martyrs, Martyr's Mirror, all of these different things that just show the bloodlust of Roman Catholicism, especially in Italy, where, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Ham tried to take over Italy and displaced a guy named Saturn, and Noah came in and kicked him out, or something like this. I forget how it was. It's in the Travels of Noah into Europe. Bill Schneebelen comes along, and what he was taught as a Nosferatu, or an undead person in training, a vampire in training. He said that what he was told, and he does not know if this is true or not, he was told that if he drank what he believed was a fallen angel's blood, that he could begin his path as a vampire. And that in the Middle Ages, in Roman Catholic churches, possibly to this day, we talked about infiltration. We've talked about infiltration of Christianity and many other things relating to it, just every facet of Christianity. Jesuitism, just, the horrible, horrible garbage. Within the altar, Bill Schneebelen said within the altar, and this ties in with the idea of the Trinity knot over there, and the symbolism behind that, and the Noah stuff, and the necromancy, and the blood sacrifice, and the human sacrifice, and just everything that has come into all of this stuff. Fallen angels taking over civilization after Noah died, the good man dies, and just everything just goes all to heck. This comes all the way up into Roman Catholicism, where you see this Trinity symbol touted all over the place, and the Trinity, we are Trinitarians, we are the Roman Catholics, you got the Trinity from us, and let's not give them the Trinity because they didn't come up with it. Bill Schneebelen said that what he was told by his mentors is that within every altar, at the front of every Catholic cathedral or church or what have you, where they put the monstrance on top, the monstrance, that's kind of weird. Within the altar that they put it on, ever notice that it's about the right size to be a casket? Just a little taller, maybe. The reason it's like that is because on the inside, there would be a Roman Catholic priest on the outside doing the whole mass thing and turning the wine into blood magically. At that same time, on the inside of the altar, there was a Nosferatic priest who was basically a vampire priest lying within. I would love to see some old altars dissected sometime or raided or something just to see. That'd be fascinating. If there's any kind of history at all that backs that kind of thing up, and there are many churches that are haunted, and there are many churches that are controlled by witches or illuminists, whatever the distinction may be. It all just ties together. And right now, you guys are watching me make these connections. I want to make PowerPoints. There's so much that needs to be constructed and built. And right now I'm in the research phase. If you guys want to help me do research, you guys can become members, or you can simply contact me with information, thoughts, questions, things you want me to research, things you want me to do videos on. Everything helps. I want to hear from you. On that note, read your King James Bible for a while. Like, the devil's after it because he is, and truly is, a Bible version conspiracy. Have a good night. We'll talk soon.